When it comes to reducing anxiety symptoms, one of the most powerful ways of achieving this is through controlled breathing. And this is fairly common knowledge. However, what's less well known is 1. How exactly controlled breathing works to reduce anxiety, 2. How to breathe most efficiently for optimal results, and 3. Specific breathing techniques for different purposes, such as anxiety reduction, deep relaxation before bed, and calming yourself down quickly when you're feeling distressed. So that's what we'll go through today. Let's start with how controlled breathing works to reduce anxiety. Firstly, when we're feeling anxious, the stress response, otherwise known as the fight or flight response, becomes activated. And this response involves a whole range of physiological changes, including increased heart rate and breathing rate, adrenaline and cortisol release, pupil dilation, muscle tension, often some shakiness, in addition to many other things. And this is to give the body as much energy and focus as possible to either fight the perceived threat, i.e. to tackle it head on, or to flee, i.e. to escape the situation. And whilst the fight or flight response was designed to be helpful, if it becomes too overpowering, we may start to crumble and our performance will become compromised. So controlled breathing works by activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is essentially like a brake pedal for the fight or flight response. And all of the symptoms which make up the stress response are kind of a package deal, meaning that if you can calm down and control one of the symptoms, such as your breathing, everything else, such as heart rate, adrenaline release, muscle tension, etc., will also start to subside. So the reason that we often target breathing rather than the other symptoms of the stress response is that it is very much within our control and we can consciously slow it down, unlike things like our heart rate. And in addition to calming us down physically, breathing techniques can also help to regain activation in the thinking structures of the brain so that we're able to think more clearly and calmly and make sense of our thoughts. Secondly, controlled breathing is effective for reducing anxiety as it's a form of mindfulness. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with that term, it's become a bit of a buzzword these days. Mindfulness is the state of being fully present in the here and now with openness and curiosity. And a main reason as to why mindfulness can be helpful when it comes to mental health is because all forms of psychological distress usually involve some sort of disconnect from the present moment. For example, depression and trauma are often associated with rumination and living in the past, whereas anxiety involves a lot of worry about something which hasn't happened yet, so essentially living in the future. What mindfulness allows us to do is to get out of our heads, out of the past or out of the future, and back into the here and now, which can induce a state of calm and significantly improve our well-being. So mindfulness is a very broad term and can be practiced in a lot of different ways, but it typically involves drawing your attention to something in the present moment. So by actively focusing on your breath and paying attention to the sensations in your body when you inhale and exhale, this will help you to get out of your head and back into the here and now. So now that you know how breathing works to reduce anxiety, let's talk about how to breathe most efficiently. So to get the most out of your controlled breathing techniques, it's important that you take big, deep breaths from your diaphragm, which we call diaphragmatic breathing, rather than the more shallow breathing from our chests. If you're doing diaphragmatic breathing correctly, with each inhalation, the diaphragm will contract and move downwards, which creates more space in your chest cavity. This allows the lungs to expand, which is optimal for inhaling a lot of oxygen and expelling a lot of carbon dioxide. To check if you're breathing this way, try placing your hands on your stomach just below your rib cage. If you're engaging in diaphragmatic breathing, you should be able to feel your stomach moving out and in against your hand with every breath. If you can't, it's likely that you're breathing from your chest and you might need a bit more practice. Okay, now let's move on to look at a few specific breathing techniques for anxiety reduction. Firstly, there's box breathing, which is a very effective technique for general anxiety reduction and remaining calm throughout the day. And it's called box breathing because the breathing pattern essentially forms a box in that you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. So it goes like this. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and repeat. Secondly, there's 4-7-8 breathing, which is often referred to as relaxing breath, and this is a really effective technique for getting you into a very calm and relaxed state prior to bed. And I'll start by saying a lot of breathing techniques, including this one, emphasize the out breath, i.e. the exhalation is longer than the inhalation. So back to this technique, this one involves breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 7 seconds, and then exhaling for 8 seconds. So it goes like this. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and repeat. And finally, there's the physiological sigh, which is one of the fastest and most efficient ways of calming yourself down when you're feeling overwhelmed or distressed. And similarly to the previous technique, it involves a strong emphasis on the exhalation to offload carbon dioxide and restore the body's natural balance. So the physiological sigh consists of 2 inhalations, usually through the nose, followed by an extended exhale, usually through the mouth. And with the 2 inhales, the first one will be a big breath in, then you'll sneak in a little bit more air with the second exhale, followed by the big extended exhale. And the second inhale is important because your lungs aren't just 2 big bags of air, they're actually filled with millions of little air sacs called alveoli. And what this second inhalation does is reinflates those little sacs so that you're able to offload as much CO2 as possible with the out breath, and therefore calm yourself down quickly and efficiently by restoring balance in the body. So it sounds like this. Inhale, inhale, extended exhale. And you only have to do this 1 to 3 times in order to achieve some very fast and powerful results. As a final point, keep in mind that breathing techniques are a skill, meaning that the more that you practice them, the more proficient you will become at them. If you can incorporate a few minutes of breathing work each day, either as a relaxation strategy before bed, or maybe in the morning to induce a state of calm, you'll be in a much better position to draw upon them when you really need them, i.e. when you're feeling anxious or stressed.